number 4 on my list is kind of a cop-out because it's 2 games in one because they're essentially the same thing. One is just basically a better version of it. They both came out in the same system, so it's number 3 with Goldeneye slash Perfect Dark. So I know it's kind of weird to combine them, but let's just break down all the best moments. What makes these games nostalgic to you?
Okay. So I have to admit, this might be my number 1 most nostalgic game series for N64. Even though we didn't play it, I don't think as many hours as some other games. We played this game a lot, especially Perfect Dark. A lot of people know GoldenEye. GoldenEye was, I think, a very famous game for N64, and a lot of people missed out on Perfect Dark, and which, in my opinion, is definitely one of the best games for N64, if not top 3, maybe. A great shooter back in the day. Had a cool plot line, pretty darn cheesy by standards nowadays, but at the time, very cool. And yeah, that game, it was obviously big about multiplayer. 4-person, split screen. You could do co-op, actually. You could do, there was a weird co-op mode that was only 2-player, but you could do team battles on your deathmatch, and all 4 of you versus some bots and stuff like that, but it was all about that. I remember we did many one-on-one versus 1v1v1v1. It's the free-for-all, 4 people in a room, all yelling at each other, all looking at each other's screens, seeing what the other person was doing, all about screen cheating. But yeah, both those games, multiplayer was really the biggest part. I mean, yeah, it was a good game.
Yeah, I think especially with Perfect Dark, like you were saying, it's just the customizable way that you could do the multiplayer, and adjusting the bots and adjusting the guns and just adjusting everything was just really crazy, especially in Perfect Dark. How the amount of customization that can go into it was pretty amazing.
Yeah, both these games, in my opinion, had cool single players. Perfect Dark I definitely enjoyed more, but they had good single player campaigns. And I mean, you had to try to go back and beat the levels on the harder difficulties, and then later on you had to even try to unlock those cheats. You had to try to speed run the levels to get the cheats. I remember one of my friends was trying to beat, I think, Facility on 007. He had to beat in like 2 minutes and 15 seconds. Like, that's impossible. There's no way you could beat that in 2 minutes and 15 seconds. That's impossible. And he took it a long time, but he did it, I think, eventually and got that. I don't remember what cheat that was.
I wish
that was like a big deal. Like, I'm like, oh my goodness, how can you do that?
Yeah, that would have been pretty awesome to see even today. Just to see someone do that well on it. But yeah, I think what it comes down to with these 2 games is also kind of like it's the beginning of shooters, so I definitely want it on the list. It's really awesome, but there's so many other games that did things that were better than them, of course. I mean, this is a console shooting game that's really, really early on. You know, obviously it's post-Doom, post-Quake, and all those games, but it's still really on. So there's so many games that did it better, but they are definitely on this list, and they're definitely in the middle / upper part because there's some things that they still do better than any other game. I don't think there's another shooting game with a counter co-op like Perfect Dark.
Yep. Counter co-op. That was counter co-op was you were playing basically the single player campaign, except for your friend would randomly take over one of the enemies in the level, and then you'd have to kill him. He would obviously have very little HP, like the regular enemies would, and you'd kill him, and then he would spawn as another person, and so they'd keep going. It would just make the level much harder, especially if the opponent was good. But that was a cool mode. But really, yeah, like you were saying, the customizability of the multiplayer is what kept this game so fresh. I remember we'd make weird game types.
Oh yeah.
We just played recently. I think
we did.
About 6 months ago, we replayed one of our favorite game modes, Kill Park, which is set in car park with only shitty weapons, but it's one-hit kills. And you have to, it's a requirement of the game mode, you have to turn down the brightness on your TV. It's really hard to see. It's got to be very hard to see. It's the whole point of the game mode. But we played even just that stupid mode that we made up. We played that for hours.
I think we did.
One game mode of so many things you could do in that game. So there's also gotta give it out to some very cool guns in that game.
Oh yeah.
Especially Perfect Dark. Had first let's go back to Goldeneye.
Okay.
That's the problem. I don't want to skip over Goldeneye.
No.
That game we played a lot too, a lot of multiplayer. I mean, You had the customizability of the modes in that game. Even you had the golden gun mode. You had all the you had rockets. You had the
knives only.
knives only. You could play knives only slow mo 1-hit kill mode.
And then everyone does odd job.
Oh yes, classic. One of the most nostalgic things ever. Picking odd job.
And then sliding along the ground.
Yep. Odd job too short. How can you shoot him?
What were they thinking?
Yeah, and but yeah, there was cool modes in that, but yeah, back to Perfect Dark really quick. The guns in that game, the laptop gun, sentry mode, amazing. It was just the dragon with the proximity mode. You just throw your rifle on the ground and it becomes a mine. Like that doesn't make any sense. There was the super dragon with the grenade launcher attachment. There was a lot of cool guns in that game.
One of my favorite was the K7 Avenger. Because you basically run out of ammo instantly, but its firing speed was so ridiculous.
Yeah, it killed you. And then it also had, in my opinion, one of the most innovative guns of all time.
Oh yeah, Farsight.
You can see through walls and one-shot kill people, but it, like tracks really slow and weirdly. It was just such a weird thing. You just literally be camping at the farthest point of the map, trying to pick people off. Which you can't see anything. The screen is just black except for the targets. It's a crazy gun.
It was like it's like heat seeking basically, but it was really slow and it was really hard to use.
But yeah, definitely one of my favorite guns. Great game.
Yeah, I think I played Goldeneye on my own more than I played Perfect Dark on my own. Of course, I played Perfect Dark more multiplayer, and I like one of the nostalgia things for me playing Goldeneye was just like sometimes I just go through a level and I would just like shoot out the cameras intentionally, get all the guys to come at me in one room, and I just sit there and like mow them down for like no reason. Like this is really easy, and I'd be like I just sit there and just like do that, or try to go through levels with like the Distovi and stuff. Like I just remember replaying things so many times and just doing weird things. That's part of the nostalgia.
Weapons, really quick. If we're talking about some of the best weapons, we have to talk about one of the worst weapons of all time.
Oh no!
Goldeneye, there was the club.
Yes.
That gun was just terrible. The worst ammo capacity of any automatic weapon was only 20, and it just was so inaccurate. I don't understand.
I think also the accuracy was just terrible. Like, it was just all over the place.
There's no reason to ever use that gun.
If I ever do a nostalgia challenge on GoldenEye, that's going to be one of the penalties. Collabs only. I'm gonna get the.
I think it's only available in like 3 levels.
Well, I'm gonna do like the weapon cheat or whatever, but then still only use the club. So that way I can get the club, and then that would be one of the penalties. Like, you have to use club. I'm like, no, this is like the worst weapon ever. It's not fun to use at all. It's terrible.
All right, the last thing I want to talk about, back to Perfect Dark. You talked about the weapon customization, but it also had a very big thing at the time after GoldenEye, where you could only play with your friends. Perfect Dark had bots.
Right.
And that was a big deal. I think some of the other games at that time, maybe Quake had bots. I don't really know. You do have to remember that we at this point weren't huge PC guys.
Right.
So I think I might have played a little bit of Doom before that.
Yeah, I think I did.
Really, GoldenEye and Perfect Dark were my first 2 real FPS.
Yeah.
And so these games really set everything. Nowadays, I'm 100% all for PC FPS only. That's how you're meant to play.
That's how it's meant to play.
That's how it's meant to be played. But back in the day, I was all controller, and I was like, no, this is the best. But back to the bots. There was a ton of bots in that game, including bots that were very difficult at the time. Like some of the bots we thought like were like almost impossible. The freaking perfect bots.
Yes.
And like the dark bots. We're like, oh my goodness, these are so good. And yeah, it was fun times.
Yeah, there might have been bots in other games like Quake or something, but they didn't have like there was like a judgment one that went after the person that was winning. Like they had different like AIs, and you could choose them. And like one of them was like peaceful, or so, like they had basically everything.
Yeah.
All different kinds of random AIs, and that definitely I don't think that's ever been remade since as well. Yeah. I don't think we have something that compares to that.